This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace. And we are back.
Yes, we are. And with that, we will have our usual segments, the starting lineup, our good, bad, and ugly, the color commentary, and our primetime game where Spennis goes a little easy on me more than usual, because he's not against me. It's just all me at this point. And then we have our stud and dud of the week. But first things first.
I will let mine roll along. So we'll let you go first for the how things have been holding up.
Well, I mean, it's been a very last week was interesting. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even really watch a whole lot of sports. I mean, I watched the Royals, looked at some random rumors in the NFL. Other than that, as far as just how life was going, it was coasting. I was on the my last week of overtime, so it was nice to kind of have a little bit extra time to myself. But other than that, yeah, I've been playing MLB The Show. It came out last Tuesday, right? Or a couple Tuesdays ago?
Well, it would have been Tuesday. It would have been last Tuesday if you started. I had mine since before I left. So
yeah, I played it at launch, and ever since then I've been playing the crap out of Diamond Dynasty. I will talk about the new mode that they added to the game later on. I also picked up Resident Evil 4 while we were gone, and that port on PC is pretty damn good. I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm eventually going to.
Oh yeah, because Resident Evil 4, even when it was first released, was known for being pretty much the best one in the series.
And I like the logic of shooting a zombie in the head the first time doesn't kill it. It's just it just kind of shrugs it off, like a batter getting hit by a pitch, most times. And then I also picked up The Last of Us, and yes, the PC port is a dumpster fire when it comes to optimizations, but they have done small patches here and there, and there was a driver hotfix for any PC gamers out there that just came out to fix the random crashing on RTX 30 series graphics cards on Nvidia's side. As far as what I've been just watching, a lot of YouTube videos. Linus Tech Tips got hacked recently. Last week around near the end, I think it was end of the week. If you really care about that, Linus Tech Tips is one of the main channels I've followed since I was in high school. It was kind of sad to see them get hacked, but things happen. Not everyone is perfect. What essentially happened was some company reached out with a fake advertisement thing or sponsorship thing, and they clicked a link or a PDF file that was nefarious that took their session token down for whenever they logged in to that YouTube account, and they got credit and they got enough access to where they could just stream random crap and change the channel name and all that. And so
wow,
that's how
that sounds like that's not fun.
Yeah, it's a crypto scam that's going on YouTube right now where people change the names of people's channels to Tesla and then do a fake, or they do a fake stream and it's just a recording of Elon Musk talking about SpaceX, but they change the title name to him talking about Dogecoin. It's a very shady thing that's happening on YouTube right now, but anyways, um, I've been watching a lot of YouTube when it comes to tech stuff, but also watching a lot of Bob's Burgers on the side on Hulu and just other shows too. But yeah, Spinnis, I've talked enough about what I've been doing. What have you been up to, my dog?
Well, to begin, was kind of. I'll start with what I've been catching up on. I am now going to be 2 episodes behind on Bel Air. But I still have this week's episode of Ted Lasso. I'm caught up on All American until the 17th when the next episode comes out. So I'll have that. My wife and I are now going to be working on the Mandalorian as we go. We just got through the long episode 3 of the season, so yeah, there was just a lot of it was a lot of stuff that I'm like, what is this supposed to be? And I'm sure there'll probably be a lot more explained later.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got bored of the Mandalorian. I made it through most of season 3. I think I'm like 1 or 2 episodes. Or I was on like, I think it was chapter 18 or whatever it was.
19 was the drag because they left it at like 50 plus minutes, and about 20 of it was just on this one guy that I have no idea how he's even fitting into the story yet.
Yeah, and like there were points in it where I'm just like, I'm bored. Which is not a good sign for someone trying to watch a show or a movie. Like, it's kind of how I felt with like Halloween Ends when they had this like one character that was like new to it, and then you just kind of felt like, well, was this even necessary? I thought there was going to be more killing from Jason, or not Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers. For the love of God.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll say this: if you want a sitcom to get into, Ted Lasso, Ted Lasso, if you can get it.
I'll look into it more. I've been looking for new shows, but I love Bob's Burgers for just the derpy animation that they have for it, and just like the outright like kind of slapstick comedy that it has. Like, it's interesting, but I don't know.
No, but Ted Lasso is Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, I've seen it. I just been
Yeah.
I've been in between shows, and I think I quit watching that one because there were like other shows I was looking into.
Oh yeah, and it was. I mean, it's got a whole lot of great. Like it really, it got a lot of great acclaim with say like winning all sorts of awards,
Mm-hmm.
and it's worth every single one of them though.
Yeah, I'm also waiting to see if whenever that Robert De Niro Leo DiCaprio movie comes out on Apple Plus.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be on Apple Plus for just like a month or so and then go to HBO Max and whatever, or if it's just gonna be exclusive to Apple Plus for a while.
Yeah. And I have now finally watched Creed 3.
I totally forgot about that movie, and I haven't seen the new John Wick either, so no spoilers on both.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Creed 3 was good. Like, it's Michael B. Jordan directed, so it's a little different than and there is no Sly. So in short, you have no Stallone.
Damn it. That's
Yeah,
like the
no,
fun. That's like the best part of like Stallone being in the movie. You don't understand what he says. He just goes like, like,
yeah,
and you're just like, huh? What did he say? And you're just like,
yeah, yeah. I'm shocked that it stunned me that Stallone. But I was looking up things. It was like there was some sort of falling out with the universe, with kind of the direction and what Stallone was hoping for, and Stallone just kind of said, "Peace out."
hmm. Well,
Um,
I hope it. I'm glad it wasn't like a like kind of like one of those uh things where it goes on a decline when it comes to the story and whatnot.
oh no, the story was a very convincing thing.
It didn't
So it,
congress is what I was trying to think of the word.
yeah, it didn't digress or anything. Like,
Yeah, like it didn't like feel like it unneeded or anything like that. It felt like it belonged. That's good.
yeah, it really gave a lot more character development to Adonis, which
I
which
really
was
liked his intros whenever they would bring him into the ring. I loved those intros.
yep. And then let's see. Beyond that, I've already caught up on everything I've been watching. Um, the real big kicker was I'm now married. I'm now in the new house.
Also, congratulations,
Yes, so
congratulations.
that definitely, yep. Now in the now it I'm now home. I mean, I'm still moving things in, so I got to go back to the old house every now and again to grab things, and my car now is a folded out trunk with a two-seater for a good bit, but I can't complain about that too much. But with also things that I will say be told at another point, I now am going to slide over to the other segment of Spanish at Sea. So, along with the wedding, this past week, my bride and I were off to a honeymoon through a Carnival cruise out of Baltimore that was through 3 different points of the Bahamas. So some of the highlights were some of the food. There were very good amounts of it. The ship had, like, you know how Guy Fieri and his numerous, like, different things that he does.
Were there a lot of
They
French tips there?
Oh no, no, there was actually there was a guy's burger joint on the ship,
Oh, nice. Was it
and
any
it was
good?
oh, it's good. Um, I had my wife had two throughout the week, and I had three. Um, I
Nice.
I snuck in an extra day of it. Um, then
Well, it's
in
kind
that
of hard to say that now because it's on the air. So,
no, but I'm saying, like, oh no, she knew I did it.
oh, okay. So
I
it's
just like I took like an extra I took like a bit of time off to the side to grab one.
there you go.
To grab another one. And then while we were in the Bahamas, I had some conch fritters, some Bahamian mac and cheese. Oh man, the conch fritters that we got at Freeport were some of the like I we had some in Nassau at a place that we also got the mac and cheese. They weren't quite as good, but 2 days later when we got to Freeport, we had some really good ones. From our open air tram excursion and local food tasting. Um, I did have I did have surf and turf at the steakhouse on Saturday. On the Saturday of the trip, had a I had all sorts of couple of like really really good eats. But two of the best ones that we had the entire week, or at least I had one personally, and then we both did one. On the Nassau night, we had this dessert called bitter and blanc. But when initially like a few of us at our table ordered it, like we didn't necessarily understand how this thing was supposed to work
To be honest, it
because
sounds
you
like a cocktail that you would get like at a bar because
it
of
actually
bitters.
it actually was a dessert. It actually was a dessert. So what it was is that it's like this cake that's got like almost like a chocolate and vanilla type, like dark chocolate and vanilla type of thing. And then you have this little like like almost like a mini pitcher of like the cinnamon sauce.
Dude, that
And
sounds so good.
we had to ask our waiter. Ironically enough, the waiter that we were asking was a Hungarian. So he's like, "Yeah, what you guys got to do is you got to split this thing from the middle, like create a hole, pour the cinnamon sauce into it, and just let it overflow." once we did that, once we did that, it was so good. Like it actually was really good.
That just
Um,
kind of reminds me of the volcano cake from
yeah,
from not Red Lobster, from the Rainforest Cafe.
yeah, but this thing, like along with the cinnamon, kind of really worked out. But the second major thing that I personally got to experience was we were in Freeport and we were at this like little shopping complex, and we roll around to the backside, and there's this seafood stand, and he's got like all sorts of different like things, and I'm kind of not necessarily wanting. I was more so in a craving of lobster fritters,
I am so
but
jealous.
oh no, this gets better. This gets better. So he looks at me. So he's looking at me. I was like, I kind of just want lobster fritters. It's like, but or like I at least wanted lobster, but I didn't want like conch fritters to go with it. The guy at the shop, the guy in the stand gives me these two full, bona fide like lobster tails, fried up, and he doesn't cut the meat out of the tail and do all the breading and slicing and all that. Just fries up the lobster tail straight up. And I ended up getting two of them, with which, including the tip, ended up getting two of them for $20.
That is not bad. I mean, you're right at the ocean, so it makes sense that it's cheaper.
Oh yeah, and like if we would have got like if that would have been there here, number one, we would not have gotten I would not have gotten that thing fried, because it's not generally a way that lobster gets served around here.
Usually it's steamed.
Yeah, it's usually boiled and broiled.
Yeah.
Um, sometimes grilled depending.
I
But
usually
then,
just go for like a boil or broil, but yeah, go
but
on.
then the two lobster tails, I would have gotten them for like triple the price. That's like triple the price. That's $60 around here. That's a PS5 game. I got it for the I got it for the price of like a bunch of like a thing of Control Freaks that I would normally get.
Dude, that's like
Oh, but
dude, that's like two beers at a Disney World. That's how much it was for the most part for like a, I guess, 12-ounce draft. Whenever
no,
I
but here
went.
was the other stupid thing that I did. Like I was siphoning through like how I was trying to like pay for it. I was siphoning up the bills, and I thought I had gotten to the point where like my smaller bills were done, and I got to my 20, and I was getting my 20s. So I pull up the first bill that I think is a 20. It ended up being a 1 that I ended up like accidentally like slipping back, and then eventually like paying the 20. But it was something that I didn't mean to do. I was like, felt embarrassed because I was like, I swear that was a 20. But I eventually got it. So it worked out. We had a stingray encounter in Princess K's. And the funny part is that one of the other couples who was at our table was also with us on the stingray encounter. So they go and they are diving under the water to try and get this conch shell. We're in the big circle, like going through this, and I step and trip over what I thought was a rock. I stick my hand down and pick up. I realized that I just tripped over a conch. Tripped over a conch shell. So I ended up finding one just simply because I tripped over it.
Was there like an actual like creature in it,
Yeah.
or was it?
Yeah. They were actually living creatures.
That's cool.
Like there actually is a living thing, and actually at Freeport we learned how to get them out. We learned about how they get them out in order to actually cook them. In order to cook them because conch is a common thing for them to eat. And then Freeport, and of course how I mentioned Cooper's Castle, about a local Bahamian businessman that kind of went from like the bottom and practically had this place of like royalty, not really like political royalty, but living like the Bahamian dream and building that up. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So that had a few like really, really nice views with it. I did get to see 4 different comedians do stand up while we were down on the ship. And so I don't know if you've heard of any of them. We saw Kelly Terranova while we were down there, Bud Anderson, Mike Burton, and Murray Valeriano.
I would have to like refresh my memory on who they are, because off the top of my head, I don't know who Bud Anderson or Terranova or any of these guys.
Let's see. Murray Valeriano has written for like George Lopez. I think he's also written for Ridiculousness before. Murray Valeriano,
so he was a writer then?
No, he's done some writing and some stand-up. But here was a fun thing about Murray. For his PG shows, he does something in the concept of the swear jar.
Oh.
So all of his PG shows that he did, which he did 2 of them. I went to one of them. We didn't get to go to the second, but what he does for it is that he has this jar. He has this jar, and the concept of a swear jar is if you go into any point of cursing or anything, if he even has a thought of cursing at a particular moment, he has to drop a quarter in the swear jar. and he would have like a kid in the audience be like a judge, be kind of the judge on it. And the kid that he has be the judge of the swear jar. At the end of the show, for every quarter he drops in there, the kid gets it, and he kind of says why he dropped the quarter in the jar, which was funny. Like, he intentionally has to hold himself back, or else he drops a quarter in.
Yeah.
So the only one that I felt like I really couldn't get into was Bud Anderson, and that's just because throughout the time on the ship, it felt like he felt like his bits were kind of like jammed together, and he really didn't have very much of a flow that I could like let a joke marinate. But for all 4 comics, I did a variety of PG and R-rated shows. Yeah, I ended up coming away with 4 different victories in trivia related competition or charade related competition, and also having some time with my wife as well, which was really nice to have. It made for a very nice week. In some instances, we're still trying to get our land legs back, but
Um,
but for me, it only took like a day and a half.
to be honest with you, I feel like every time you're gonna say my wife, I'm gonna think of Borat when he goes, "My wife."
Yeah, but I don't think we've actually kind of had like the formal naming of how we want to kind of go with that yet. So that's why I'm sticking with this for now. Sticking with this for now until I come up with some until we both kind of come up with some sort of title for it.
Yeah.
Like how Mac has Mrs. the Mac, or I have no idea what Lom does for his anymore. Just
I
simply
think he said
because
Mrs. Nice Guy.
yeah, Mrs. Nice Girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, we haven't quite figured out that side of it yet, which that will come with time. That will come with time because we've only just gotten married, and of course, both of them already had their wives prior to starting Two Nerds. So, but now that we've kind of gotten past that little bit of fun on my end, and kind of where I have been, let's get right into the starting lineup.
Hell yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Wow, I was not prepared for that. But I'll let you go ahead and start with the bottom there, and then we'll get right into and I'll get right into the basketball stuff here once you get through baseball.
All right. Baseball's back. Opening day was this past week, and there are teams that are looking great, and then there's others that look like they're, not doing so hot.
Huh. Huh. My Red Sox getting swept by the Pirates, though the Jolly Roger got raced 3 times. No, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and then the Oakland A's, more like Oakland Fs, if you catch my drift.
Well, they are just they are a team begging for a relocation.
Yeah, and I was tempted to do a debate on that, but I was just like, there's still not any clear-cut things going on. Obviously, the the wages are very bad over there because they're trying to cut costs on their budgets for the team, but honestly, I have no goddamn clue what's going on over there.
Relocate them to Louisville or Memphis, or no, not Memphis, or Nashville.
I have a feeling we could bring him to Kemper. I heard that Kemper Arena actually is up for sale again over in
Wait,
Kansas City.
why would you need a second team in Kansas City? I was saying, like, if we're gonna get the the cities that really don't need another sports team, I don't think Las Vegas could also handle a baseball team. They've got hockey, they've got football now. We don't need another team from Oakland going to Las Vegas.
What about
No.
Utah?
I don't think we need another team with elevation. You got the Colorado Rockies. That's enough. I'd say you almost want to like cycle. I would say just cycle up the divisions. Put the I'm serious about saying put the Athletics in something like I'm really confident in saying like, okay, Louisville, Kentucky, or Nashville, Tennessee.
I'd rather see it in
And
Kentucky, to be honest.
yeah, honestly, Louisville sounds like a real realistic city, but I think they've already got a AAA team there. I think Nashville's also got a minor league team too, but I would say if you get a major league team in one of those two cities and then move the hard part about this is that I think you've got to move a team from the central to the west, which unfortunately is probably going to be likely your Royals.
Yeah, I was thinking because I
It
think
would either be you guys or the Twins. But I think the Twins might have a little more ties into the rivalries there, while maybe Kansas City not so much.
I mean, what if they also just change the naming of the division instead of the Central? It would be like so, um, or maybe they just add the A's to the Central at that point.
Oh no, if it goes to Louisville or Nashville, you're renaming the team. You're not going to call them the
Right.
Louisville Athletics. No,
I'm not
you're
saying
gonna.
that they're just gonna say they're just gonna slap a label on it and run with it. I'm just saying like you would. I don't think the Royals go anywhere because the Central is in the middle.
Yeah, but if you've got 5 teams in each division, I think you've got to go. I think you've got to move a team that's in the Central to the West.
I don't know. I guess we'll just see what happens, but it's it's an interesting thing to talk about nonetheless.
Yep.
Yeah. As far as baseball, I have more later. Let's go to the basketball and.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go. I'm actually gonna go hockey.
All
I'm
right.
actually gonna go hockey next because basketball is kind of the main draw of this.
Okay.
What? Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh my! We just had to go Lil Jon, didn't we?
Can I get a
Oh.
what?
Oh my!
Mhm.
Yeah, but with about 5 games left to play, the what looks like the Stanley Cup playoffs are about to take shape. Teams that have already clinched the President's Trophy. The President's Trophy has already been clinched by the Boston Bruins. And teams that have already clinched playoff spots are the Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, and New York Rangers. And there are a few teams remaining in the wild card race that is currently being held up by the Florida Panthers and New York Islanders as the two teams getting in, with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, and Detroit Red Wings all within range. But realistically, the Sabres, Senators, and Red Wings are about 10 points out. Well, the Red Wings are 8 out, and the Sabres and Senators are 6 out, while the Penguins are only a single point behind in the wild card race. The Capitals just got eliminated with 77 points. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, the teams that have already made it are the Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Vegas Golden Knights, Edmonton Oilers, and Los Angeles Kings, with 4 teams remaining in the race, with the Seattle Kraken, the Winnipeg Jets, the Calgary Flames, and Nashville Predators. Looks like the Seattle Kraken may soon be in clinching range. while within 3 points of each other, within 3 point, while the three teams separated by 3 points are the Jets, Flames, and Predators.
I like
Jets
what you
beat,
did there with the clinched with the Krakens.
yeah, and I think this is the second year. What are we at the second year with the Seattle Kraken now?
I don't know. This is where you lose me, Spennis. I don't know much about hockey. I knew about the Vegas team, Vegas Knights, like
No,
back in the
no,
day.
the Vegas Knights made the Golden Knights made the final their first year.
That's that was like the only most recent team that I actually knew about. The Kraken, not so much.
Oh, yeah, this is actually their second season. Yeah, this is the second season for the Seattle Kraken. So for their
Interesting.
second, yeah, so this is their second season, and they are potentially about to make the playoffs. I mean, granted that the first year that Vegas had an expansion had expansion, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So expansion teams in the NHL can kind of rise up quickly. But now to basketball, I'm going to start in the college ranks. And that LSU and UConn are your national champions in the women's and men's, respectively. LSU winning the women's by defeating Iowa 102-85 in the championship. Caitlin Clark of Iowa and Angel Reese of LSU were definitely battling it out. I mean, it ended with obviously the Angel Reese doing the "you can't see me" type thing to Caitlin Clark. And then the men's side, UConn being a very strong defensive team, defeats San Diego State. San Diego State didn't even score 60 points in the national title for UConn to win their
And I don't
national
even
title.
think they even had a lead against UConn.
I
I
think
think it was
no.
pretty much all UConn that game, from what
Well,
I saw.
see, I think SDSU actually had a little bit of an early start, but then UConn just locked in. Simple as that.
Granted, I didn't watch till like the end of that first half because I didn't know if it was on or not, or still on.
Yep. But what's interesting is that now we have the NBA season about to come to a close as well, the NBA regular season. And I will go through kind of your playoff update going into it. Your 10 teams. The 10 teams have been secured in the Eastern Conference. All 10 are now known. It's whether who's going to make the play in between who's going to make the sixth spot and who's going to be in the play in for the teams that are in the middle. The number 1 seed is the Milwaukee Bucks. The 2 seed is the Boston Celtics. The 3 seed, the Philadelphia 76ers. The 4 seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The 5 seed, the New York Knicks. And within 3 games of each other for 6, 7, and 8, you have the Brooklyn Nets, Miami Heat, and Atlanta Hawks. And the 2 teams that have already clinched their way into the play-in are the Toronto Raptors and the Chicago Bulls. I think this is going to be a very fun playoffs. I mean, no Wizards. LaMelo Ball doesn't make another playoff spot. Cleveland looks like they're legit. I mean, there's a few legitimate contenders in that Eastern Conference. I think if that Eastern Conference Finals goes between the Bucks and the Celtics, that's going to be a good 6-7 game series.
Yep, and actual defense will be played for once. I literally just think that the playoffs are just made for when teams actually give a shit about defense, because most of the time I just see them literally just passing it to each other and playing like a regular pickup game. Like literally no defense to speak of until later when it matters.
Yep. And with a couple of games remaining, there are 12 teams in contention in the Western Conference, but 4 of them have clinched spots. The 4 that have clinched spots are the Denver Nuggets, Memphis Grizzlies, Sacramento Kings, and Phoenix Suns. Yes, you heard this right. The Sacramento Kings.
I mean, they've had a really good season. I wouldn't discount that. As much as it seems like they've been a discount organization for the longest time.
I mean, I'm gonna drop a few names here on this roster and kind of see that this is a team that actually is surprisingly pretty well put together. Harrison Barnes, Matthew Dellavedova, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Herter. I mean Trey Lyles, Malik Monk, but more importantly, Domantas Sabonis, which I'm sure you know exactly who he is the son of, right?
Uh, uh, Ed Sabonis. I don't know.
No, have I know this might be a little bit before your sport wheelhouse, but have you ever heard of a player by the name of Arvydas Sabonis?
Hmm. Uh,
More famously here in the States for playing for the Portland Trailblazers.
can is please tell me that there's a player named Can I Get a Sabonis? Like
No. I mean,
so I
last
can
name-
tell my supervisor or my boss be like, hey, can I get a Sabonis? And then they're like, that doesn't work. Nice try
Yeah.
though.
But it's Arvydas. Yeah, he is the son of Arvydas Sabonis, who is a Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer. We'll get to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame here in a moment. But Domantas Sabonis is on that. I think he was traded from the Pacers over there like a while back. I think that was the deal that ultimately led to the Pacers. I think that was the deal that got the Pacers Tyrese Halliburton.
Interesting.
But the teams that are kind of vying for the last remaining spots, leading the pack are the Golden State Warriors, then the Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Oklahoma City Thunder are all the teams that are currently in now. And then the teams that kind of were up a little bit higher and then fell off and are falling right now are the Dallas Mavericks, ironically, and the Utah Jazz. So I'm going to say that Kyrie Irving has become gravity and has caused the Mavericks to fall how Kyrie thinks the earth is. If you know what I mean.
That or they need to bring the Flat Earth Convention to Dallas.
I was saying that right now the Dallas Mavericks are falling flat on their face.
Yep, I gotcha.
And then the Utah Jazz, for the record that they have right now, based on the roster that they have, the fact that they're at this point were hanging around for a while actually is kind of impressive that they hung around for as long as they did.
Especially since they don't have Rudy Gobert and others.
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, because Mitchell had ever since he's been a Cavalier, has done pretty well for himself, and I think Gobert is also on there, right?
No. Gobert's in Minnesota.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think the team that's kind of coming out of nowhere for me, like in thinking of it, is actually the Pelicans. I mean, Jose Alvarado, Jackson Hayes, Brandon Ingram has finally come around as a member of the Pelicans. CJ McCollum going from Portland to New Orleans was huge. Jonas Valanciunas, Trey Murphy. I mean, Zion's there, but Zion is just existing on the bench.
I mean, if he doesn't break his paper legs or paper bones first.
Yeah, but I think we've got ourselves an interesting playoff shaping up. And last but not least, the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame selections. And I actually really like a lot of these selections. And I'm sure you know of most of these names. The main headliner in this was Gregg Popovich.
Never heard of him. I'm messing with you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean the coach of the Spurs and Dirk Nowitzki.
Man, I've never heard of him either. Isn't he? I'm kidding. I'm gonna get so much hate for this, but anyways, yeah, I know Dirk.
Dwayne Wade.
Guy that won a PS3 in his rookie skills challenge.
Pau Gasol. Tony Parker. Becky Hammond. And the one that I know you wouldn't have heard of, but I'm sure you. But I'm sure if you
Jimmy
know your
V.
ESPN, Jimmy V. Yep, Jim Valvano.
I heard something about that on a news thing that they did on YouTube. They're like when they're unveiling the Naismith people. I was like, that's cool that he is getting nominated for that.
Yeah, that he actually has gotten selected, and that to me, I found is something that was honestly, I think this went entirely too long of him not being there. Just entirely too long.
Yeah.
And now we get to our Eastwood segment: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, so for our good, we have drumroll please.
Iowa guard Caitlin Clark and her March Madness in spite of not having a national championship. Hear me out here, Ruckus. I know we're getting a whole lot of women's sports in, but I also said we were going to do this. Um, in the Elite Eight, she had a 41-point triple double. She scored 41 points again in the Final Four and scored 30 points in the title game.
Which is insane because here's the deal, man. Um, I think I said this earlier. I did not watch or really pay attention to any of the March Madness stuff. But to me, it sounds like the women's March Madness was a lot more fun than the men's.
Well, the number one, like a lot of the better teams in the women's March Madness made it through.
Yeah, like UConn and all those.
I mean, UConn had a deep run. South Carolina had a deep run. Tennessee was up there. I mean, a lot of the normal, usual suspects were kind of there. Iowa just came out of nowhere with really Caitlin Clark's amazing play. LSU with Angel Reese. So there was a lot of really good stuff in this tournament, or in this tournament season for really both sides, the men's and the women's. But this one to me kind of stood out because Caitlin Clark had been playing unreal all year. And for her to have that March Madness, that type of March Madness, and still not win the tournament's most outstanding player is a shock. But Ruckus, now that I kind of got through what was really good, because this was kind of more of More of like this was too good not to put in there.
I mean, I don't blame you.
Why don't you-
It's a very good thing, and honestly, whatever we could put in, we'll put in.
Yep.
Um,
So what was kind of your not so good this week?
um, so this went from being kind of a okay competitive trade to maybe not really happening, because D Hop is I wouldn't even really say regressed, but he's had some issues on and off the field, so to speak. Not in the realm of domestic violence or robbing a bank or vehicular manslaughter. Henry Ruggs III. um, but so the original scenario for this DeAndre Hopkins trade was they would get 2 second-round picks, and then you'd also have to make room for a extension for a contract for him. And I believe his desired contract extension was like at least 2 years something, or 4 years maybe. But here's the deal: now what seemed competitive for the time for a competitive offer has now turned into kind of like one of those things where you dwindle down the seller enough on Craigslist to where instead of it being $300 asking price, you try to get him to 150, and then the guy's like, "Hey man, like I'm trying to get my money back on this," but then you're like, "Okay man, but really this thing has been out for so long and it's kind of regressing. Best I could do is 140." And then the seller just goes, "You know what? You might be onto something here. All right, screw it. Let's go with the 140." And then you do a deal there. But in this scenario, which um it's they a which this is more of a rumor still. Obviously, this is not set in stone, but according to a podcast that happened last weekend with, I believe, a few broadcast people. I don't know if it was Jesse Palmer. I don't know who it was, but it went viral on the Kansas City Chiefs posts and all that stuff because everybody's like, "Oh my God, we could get D Hop on a similar deal to what we did with Juju last season." And it's like, well, first of all, he hasn't been cut yet. Second of all, how much is D Hop gonna actually ask for? And third, um, do we take the risk on his what his health was? Because the only problem with Juju, pretty much, what besides everyone hating the fact that he was cringe on TikTok, um, was his knee, like his leg and shoulder issues that he had the previous season. Um, but like D Hop on his obviously was the steroid use with the performance enhanced drug suspension of 6 games, and then playing with a uh Cliff Kingsbury style offense that was there that has now been uh jumped off a cliff. I think the whole thing about him possibly getting cut makes this worse for the Cardinals because it means they pretty much lose whatever draft picks they could have gotten out of him, or really anything they could have gotten out of him. They could have gotten cash considerations at least, or something, but now they're thinking about cutting him. And that's why I think this is the bad thing in the sports this week is DeAndre Hopkins trade scenarios dwindling.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna say this. Hear me out. You're having a player that's coming off of a suspension
Mm-hmm.
or in a season shortened because of that.
Well, that and injury later in the season.
Yeah. Hopkins is 30. This is normally you get a little bit of a longer leash as a wide receiver than you would a running back. This is normally right around the time in a receiver's career where the step goes, where you lose your step. And I mean, at 6'1", 212, Hopkins can double as a possession receiver, but he may not have the speed like he used to. On top of that, I mean, his pre-draft measurables back in 2013, he was only like a 4.6, like just under a 4.6 for a 40. A, a 4.5 20-yard shuttle, and a 6.83 3 cone. I mean, granted that these are just combine numbers, but you could tell that he at least was getting decent targets as a 30-year-old or as a 29-year-old.
Yeah,
But at the
and go ahead.
but at the same time, I honestly mean injuries, PEDs, or a violation of the performance enhancing drug policy. I mean, there's still different things along with that. I mean, as much as you would want to trade for something like a Hopkins, I think might the value just might not be there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a difference between like trade scenarios like just not panning out due to it being so close to the draft,
Yeah.
or rather or more so rather what it ends up being at this point is just the value on him is just not there.
Yeah, I see the Chiefs probably moving on from this, and maybe another team snags him. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he took a chance on him if he gets cut, and like give him like a team incentive type deal where it's like a 1 year, $2 million deal with like a chance to make like 10 million, kind of like Juju did, where
I
not
mean,
only
that could be something, but I just think that with Mahomes' arm, I don't think that's the type of receiver that Mahomes really needs. I just don't think that schematically that Hopkins is the right fit.
yeah, there's also been things floating out there that Quentin Jefferson, the TCU wide receiver, could possibly get drafted to the Chiefs, which I think that'd be more beneficial, to be honest. But
Yeah, I just think there's too many options really. But I think that but I also see that DeAndre Hopkins shouldn't go to Kansas City, but I think that if you wait till draft day, don't look at second round picks, or at least 2 second round picks for him. Maybe turn that into like a second and a fourth.
I would say
Turn it
maybe like a third,
like a third and a fourth? Or are you talking two
maybe,
thirds?
or maybe just a third singular. Because if they're already talking about possibly cutting this guy, if you at least get a third, I would say that's a win over nothing. Because if you cut him, then
If you're
you end up
thinking of,
eating the cost, don't you? Don't you get a little bit of dead cap?
I
Because
know there's a little bit of dead cap. I know there's probably a little bit of dead cap by now. But I mean, shoot, if he even if you just say, hey, like a third and a late round draft pick somewhere along the way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he even just goes for a fourth. I mean, because they're thinking of cutting him, so the value's not. And if the value dwindles enough, somebody will likely give up like a third day pick for him.
we'll see. It probably might be like one of those scenarios like it was for the Eagles whenever they got AJ Brown from the Titans last year.
Yeah,
And that turned into a big leap forward for the Eagles.
yeah. But also, reminder: DeAndre Hopkins is 30.
Right?
So, how long you really want to kind of invest in that is also something.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh what was our downright ugly this week, Spanish?
The Lamar Jackson saga. And this thing has only gotten worse.
Man, he should do stand-up comedy because this is just a joke at this point.
I mean, I feel like there's obviously something here, but it's one of these things where it's just like Lamar Jackson is trying to do this all on his own when the negotiation process, because they have to go through him, I feel like as a quarterback he's not gifted enough.
I think also the problem is with players that try to do it themselves, they obviously don't know shit about the market that they think they have, and there was a certain player that did that same thing that was a former teammate of Lamar Jackson, and that was Orlando Brown. And obviously he couldn't get it done without an agent because they were still trying to they were waiting on Orlando Brown to get a new agent because I guess he left the agency that he was with previously and then was looking for a new one. And then eventually nothing happened with the new contract. So I don't know
Yeah.
what happens with Lamar, but I feel like the Ravens either um, trade him during the draft and get someone that could be a future star down the road, like Bryce Young or someone that's like a top prospect quarterback candidate, and go from go from there. Or you or you keep Lamar under the franchise tag like you have him play on it, or at least give guidance to the future replacement of Lamar and do that. But there's many scenarios for this, to be
Yeah.
honest. I just don't. I just feel like him talking about his contract or whining about stuff on Twitter to try to make it his own point is just hurting his chances of anything good for him.
Yeah, it's like everybody, like the biggest thing I'm seeing in this article from the Nation is talking about Lamar Jackson's main problem is not playing the owner's game.
Also, look what happened to other players in the past that lashed out on social media. I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson is no Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown has done some dumb shit in the past to get him in trouble. Like, not get Lamar Jackson in trouble, but just himself in trouble.
Yeah, it's like ironically Jackson is paying the price for an owner's disobedience, that of Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam. The ethically shaky billionaire blew up the quarterback market by offering Deshaun Watson the 230 in guaranteed money. The owners don't do guaranteed contracts.
Did he get? Did he get a? Did he give Deshaun Watson a free massage coupon?
Oh my god! Like it, it, and it's one of these things where just the play style has not been conducive. And it's just one of these things where Lamar Jackson's trying to buck the system, but I think on top of that, as much as Lamar Jackson could buck the system, I think that him doing so is, and people are, the NFLPA has already had to put the review on collusion over the situation, because it's like, oh, there's this big name quarterback wanting to try and find a new team.
Yeah,
Ravens kind of not exclusive.
and there's a reason why Rodgers is still not traded yet. As well.
I don't think that's collusion. I think
Well,
that's
I'm not saying
because
it's collusion. I'm just saying like he's also a candidate that wants to be traded but hasn't.
well, here's what's going on with the Aaron Rodgers thing. Is that he's wanting to be a Jet, but his price tag, the players that you're wanting to bring on this big price tag with Aaron Rodgers while also having to try and meet every single one of his demands for players he wants with money that would be honestly better invested going to your youth movement.
Kind of sounds like LeBron James in a sense.
I mean, what Aaron Rodgers is trying to do, yes, is trying to turn the Jets into a LeBron James situation. Which, I'm sorry, instead of trying to make yourself look like the LA Lakers, New York Jets, you've done all this work in investing into your future. Look more like the Baltimore Orioles. I would honestly say look more into what you are by looking at Major League Baseball with the Baltimore Orioles.
Yep.
You've got a youth movement going on. I don't think, and here's what I think the Jets should do. The Jets should not look into Aaron Rodgers, trade away Zach Wilson, and draft a quarterback, and try and draft a quarterback. Either that or look for a placeholder that can kind of get you through to set yourself up for next year where you draft one. The Jets don't need Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think, and I really don't think the Jets owe Aaron Rodgers anything. But I also feel like the NFL doesn't owe Lamar Jackson anything either. So kind of like what Aaron Rodgers is dealing with, I feel like Lamar Jackson is on that same camp
Yeah.
where they don't owe you jack squat. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You have a 1-year deal with Baltimore. Baltimore is probably for now going to be your only option until you choose to play ball, Lamar Jackson. Plus, I do not believe that Lamar Jackson is the right quarterback to set the new league market. I did up until the massage issue, I thought Deshaun Watson could have been a quarterback that would have been able to set the market. But I think the real quarterback that's going to move the needle for the market within the next couple of years isn't even Josh Allen. It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I believe, is now going to be the benchmark of where the quarterback market goes. And that is a hot take.
I wonder if it would also could be possibly Jalen Hurts. Because technically Patrick Mahomes did that in a sense years ago
Yeah,
with that
Mahomes.
half a billion contract for 10 years. But that was more of a team friendly deal versus going for like pretty much $1 billion. He could have done that.
And Mahomes is here's why I like Mahomes, even with him making all that money. Patrick Mahomes knows what it takes to build a team. And he's willing to kind of do that with even even with all of that money, restructuring the deal so that they can. Like restructure the deal so that it's easier for you to get that extra player that you may need.
Right. And not just have to rely on rookies to get there too.
Yeah.
Like get
But
smaller deals like you did with incentives and or just like cheaper deals.
but it's also not like the Chiefs are doing bad with getting good rookies either.
Yeah, you have Sky Moore, who at the beginning of the season and near the middle part of the season, when he was a special teams guy mainly, he was not doing the best, but when it counted, he rised up to the occasion. And just
Isaiah
like
Pacheco.
Isaiah Pacheco, which the man, the myth, the legend, runs like an angry woolly mammoth whenever he has the ball. Like I said, I praise him so much, and I still do. And I was tempted to get a Pacheco jersey after the Super Bowl win, but they didn't have any damn white jerseys. They just had the red ones. And now they have white jerseys, but I'm still gonna wait and see if they go on sale because I'm not spending $150 right now on a jersey.
Yeah, but where we're at, but you're seeing where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Is that Mahomes has been able to do extremely well, whether it's rookies or veterans. And I just don't think Lamar Jackson is that type of quarterback or is in the intentions of wanting to do that. Lamar Jackson trying to go for all that guaranteed money will not get the Ravens or any team that he plays for any closer to a championship.
Right.
And now we shift to color commentary, which I am shocked you did not theme this or call this anything.
I
But
mean,
I guess
it
this
is
is just
it's pretty much a debate uh session here.
yeah,
But
just debate central.
yeah, there you go. So I'll start off the first topic. So the first topic I want to get into is the new baseball rules. Are they good, bad, or both? Um, Pretty much the new baseball rules this season. We've kind of gone over them a little bit earlier whenever we did like our previews of the two divisions, AL and NL. But the key rule changes are the pitch clock. So 15 seconds with the bases empty, 20 seconds with runners on base. You also get limited to, I believe, one pickoff.
Three pickoffs, I believe.
I thought it was one or two, but
It,
anyways.
it's two without a repercussion.
Okay. Well, there you go.
If the
Two without
third one's not
repercussion.
if the third one's not successful, it's a balk.
Okay. And then they limited the shifts so that you can't have four infielders on the right side. You had to have it split down the middle. So two infielders on each side of second base with both feet on the dirt or infield grass. Um, you could still like move your outfielders up. So like if you need or in I should say, where it's like closer to the infield, but they still need to be on the grass, I believe. Larger bases, so the size of a pizza box. I would say either a medium or a large size pizza box, to be honest. I don't know the dimensions though, but the base size increased from to 18 inches from the 15 by 15. And yeah. Um Honestly, I haven't noticed like a huge difference between the base sizes cuz to be honest on TV it looks about the same as it did before.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah. That was insignificant.
so like on that side of things I give that a because A I don't really see the difference and B who cares? I mean, they're gonna hype it up no matter what, or try to advertise it as something else. But I like the addition of the pitch timer stuff. Though I think it adds it not only reduces the time of the game depending on the scenario. So like if you had a pitcher's duel and both pitchers are like pitching their ass off and getting strikeout after strikeout or out after out, like it'll make the game a lot quicker. Um, I also like the addition of the pickoff system where it's like you get three, and if the third one isn't successful, then it's a balk. It eliminates the dead time where you're trying to like throw a runner out that's like known pretty well for like stealing bases and whatnot. But I do. I love that rule, and they need to keep it. The one that I kind of don't like is the one where it's like the pitch timer. But I mean, here's the deal: you're trying to eliminate the fact that the batter could literally be changing his wardrobe every 5 seconds, like untight or like unbuckling the strap on a glove, spitting into the hand to get more grip, or getting a more pine tar, or getting more rosin, like all the above. It makes it a lot like quicker on the at bats, but also it helps out the batter timing. I feel too, because they're not fidgeting in between pitches. They're just like straight up just waiting for the next pitch to come. And I don't know if timing helps with the batter on that, but I don't know. I want your 2 cents on this, Venice.
I think you take the good. I think you got to take the good with the bad on this. And I think there's some things that are imperfect about it. My first imperfection with this is the quick pitch. Um, there was literally a situation in a game where a batter assumed he got quick pitched, and the count went from an 0-1 to a 1-1 because of a supposed quote unquote quick pitch. So I think there's a few things with the pitch clock that kind of need a touch of tweak. Either give a little more time, like maybe a little bit more time to kind of allow like the, dare I say it, the mental chess that baseball is to kind of take a little bit more shape. I mean, is it is the pitch clock speeding up the game? For the better part of it, yes. Do I think we could afford a little bit of time for some mental chess match? Like that mental chess match and face off between the pitcher and the batter before a pitch? Absolutely. Because honestly, that to me is what baseball is all about.
I feel like if they wanted to, they could add 5 seconds to each one. So, like 20 seconds for the bases empty, 25 for runners on base.
I would go 10 seconds. 25 for 25 for the 25 for the bases empty, or no, yeah, 25 for bases empty, 30 with bases on. And if the batter is not ready by 10 seconds, it's a strike.
I feel like it's very generous to do 10. I feel like 5 would be just enough.
Oh,
Because because here's the deal. If you're already in the damn box, do you really want to? I mean, obviously it stops counting down once the pitcher throws it.
it's either that or you adopt the banana ball principle of the batter cannot step out of the box.
I just I feel like what they've got right now is semi decent. The one thing that kind of throws me off is like the fact that like if a hitter's like in a 1-2 count and then they don't get back in the box in time, then it's like an interesting it could be it could be a
Yeah,
difference between a inning being gone and a game being won just because someone forgot to step back in, or it could be like a matter of, okay, well, that guy might
yeah,
be thrown out for chewing out the ref for being like, what, man, I was in the box, like there's gonna be certain random controversial scenarios like that, I'm sure. um there I don't know. I think it'll change it for the better. It'll teach uh the veterans and the new guys how to I don't know necessarily if respecting the game is a great word for it, but possibly just being like, hey, like, stay in the box, like.
yeah. I just think you lose. I think you lose a little bit of the mind games that come from head-to-head batter pitcher batter matchups. I think you lose a little bit of that. But
Yeah.
other than that, like the rules, the pitch clock thing is imperfect and it needs some tweaking. But other than that, everything else is fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I like the fact that they took away the shit. I feel like that was obnoxious. Just get good instead of playing like a awkward game of I guess um where you're just like kind of camping on someone, or kind of puppy guarding them, I guess you could say. That was the word I was looking for. I feel like the shit was kind of like a mini puppy guard kind of deal, because if you're like trying to shit to where a batter normally hits like the right side, for example, or if you have like a batter that has a lot of power, then like everyone's like shifted to the right side or left side or whatever. I think it's more just a matter of you need to not do that, because then they
Right.
could just move to other parts. But anyways, next topic. Um, so this is gonna stick into the baseball realm still, but this is on the realm of the video game MLB The Show 23, and in this season, um, they added the Negro Leagues edition to the MLB The Show. It's a separate game mode in the show, kind of like Diamond Dynasty or franchise mode, but it focuses on the stories of, I believe, 8
Yeah,
Negro League
8 different
players.
Negro Leagues players. Yep.
And the stories are told by the one and only Bob Kendrick, who is the ambassador for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, and is well known on for being on the on Bally Sports and Royal Sports Network for the events where they would have the dressing to the nines for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum charity, and other things that they do, where they would have also special themed games where the players would wear the Monarchs jerseys for the Royal, or the Royals players would wear the KC Monarchs jerseys. And last year, I actually went to go to Kauffman Stadium to see the Dodgers and Royals play, and the Dodgers were wearing their Brooklyn Dodgers uniforms, and the Royals were wearing the Monarch stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So
Um,
they so they're doing some cool stuff with it.
but yeah, anyways, back to Negro League's addition to the show. I think it's a good thing because it helps newcomers to not only like the sport itself, but like the younger generation to understand in a very uh correct way, where it's not like super like rough on the edges. Like obviously with the Negro Leagues, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows. There were white only bathrooms. There were heck even the Negro League players couldn't you like if you were black you could not play in certain stadiums. They would just because like if I mean obviously that wasn't uh, a Negro League team. It was like a normal baseball team that if a Negro League player went to that team, they couldn't play in a certain stadium because it was white only or things like that. Um, but in this game mode, you get to go through 8 players, and you do about 8 or 9 missions depending on the player. So they have Buck O'Neill, Jackie Robinson, uh, um,
Martin Dihigo,
Satchel
uh,
Paige,
Rube Foster, um, Joe
uh,
Joe Donaldson, Hilton Smith,
Luke Thompson, I think.
or Thompson was the name of it. I can't remember the first name, but it was a very good. Might be Hank Thompson or something like that.
Yeah, that's who it was, Hank Thompson. But yes, the way they do the episodes and stuff is more reminiscent of kind of like whenever you, so like it starts with the little video um episode. I don't know how long they were because to be honest, I skipped
They
those just to get to the moment.
the overall moments. If you watch the entire clips back to back, if you didn't struggle with them too much, most of the time it would take no more than 30 minutes to complete
Yeah. And then as far as some of the moments, like there was one where you play a Satchel Paige, and there's like your entire infield pretty much just like comes near your pitching mound to just like watch you strike out three
one. Oh,
batters in a row.
then the Donaldson one where the entire infield disappears. Where after the first out, you get rid of half the infield. Second out, you get rid of the other half of the infield.
Yep, and then there were some that in general for me as a baseball fan that's been a fan of it forever, it seems. Um they would have like moments where it's like, oh, this pitcher was also good at hitting the ball and stuff like that, but like they weren't necessarily called a two-way player, I guess. It was more just like they were kind of, I don't know if
Or
you'd say
actually,
undercover.
they were probably like they were written out. They were written in as like two-way players.
Yeah.
So
And like so like Jackie Robinson really wasn't a two-way player, but um
no,
there was there were like some other pitchers in this, like Satchel Paige was a two-way player in a sense,
yeah.
and
Well,
he he
Satchel Paige wasn't one of them. I think Hilton Smith was. I think Hilton Smith was one or something like that.
okay.
Martin Dihigo, Dihigo definitely.
Dihigo was a good one. Um, but yes, the in general way that they did it was very cool. Like they didn't just half-ass it, where it's like, oh, you get these players, and then we'll like clone in these other ones and give them the names that they would have for their thing. Like young Buck O'Neill looks pretty spot on to what they show in the pictures from like back in the day of what he had. Satchel Paige was a good one. I forgot to realize that that man's rookie year was actually when he was like 48, right?
Or it was a 42-year-old rookie or something like that.
And in the
But
sport of
they said he could.
MLB, go for
But
it.
they said he could have been 52.
Yeah, like in the sport of MLB, that's like when you're pretty much
Unheard
not.
of.
Yeah,
Unheard of.
and I didn't realize that. Like when I was young, I went to the Negro League Baseball Museum, but I never really understood that. I was just like, oh, cool, like baseball stuff. and then I would just kind of vegetate in there and just chill. But it was still a very cool experience when I was younger because I got to see all the old uniforms. You get to go on the field. It's something else. We also did the Jazz Museum as well, but the Negro Leagues edition to MLB The Show. I need to keep on topic. It's a sight to be seen, and I think it was good.
It was a very, very. I think in terms of like, I watched all the video. I watched all the videos,
I
and like you learn a bit about the history. You learn about the history of the player. You learn a little bit about the situations that they dealt with.
yes,
Um,
and
the moments played true to it. The moments played true to it. Um, like you for the Satchel Page, it's like, oh, you had to throw a certain point where you threw exclusively fastballs. There was somewhere you threw exclusively curveballs. Somewhere you threw exclusively sliders.
and then
Like that, those were
yeah,
fun.
I also
Like
just like how clean it was as far as like the scenarios. Like obviously, like I said, Negro Leagues wasn't sunshine and rainbows, and there were some nasty comments going around in the leagues and stuff like that. But the way they portrayed it was good for like even if you're a young kid playing MLB The Show, you'll be able to play the mode without your parents getting upset at the developers being like, hey, like,
right,
mm, yeah,
they play it in a way that is very kid friendly, but still incredibly educational. I love how each moment screen had like a particular quotation.
yeah.
I know for a couple of them it was like written in by Bob Kendrick, but
Also,
other,
shout out to Bob Kendrick and also San Diego Studios for doing a very awesome job with this mode because they could have just kind of half-assed it and just went and like slapped Bob Kendrick's name on it and then just completely turned a 180 on it and
no,
made it.
they gave it really a true authenticity. I am I will say that with this, I am looking forward to what next year's brings to the table.
I want to see cool
Um,
Papa Bell and the other speedsters.
I think I think we get another little bit of a variety next year with I think Cool Papa Bell being one of them. Um, I mean Jackie Robinson, I don't see him in in the rights there like leaving the game anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like we're losing out on a lot of things. It's like this was a beautiful addition to a game that we already were enjoying.
Yeah. Anyways,
Well,
on
let's
a
go ahead and move on to the. I know we're kind of hitting a lot of time.
but hey, I mean, we're getting through it. All right, so the last one I'm gonna do is flexing of NFL primetime games being extended to 2 games instead of one. So what we are pretty much talking about is Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, etc. And you really only get to flex those times every once in a while. So like the Chiefs had one Thursday night football game and one Monday night football game, and then technically one Sunday night football game. But you could really only flex it one time. Well, now they're doing it with 2 times that you could do it, but the problem with that is the players technically didn't have much say in it, and they were more concerned about their health versus um, having to play earlier than expected on their schedule of games. Like Thursday night, you only really get a certain amount of days to heal, maybe if you already played on Sunday. Um,
I'm looking at this. What if we only had one of those games? What if everyone? What if it's just every single team gets a Thursday game, and then in the other instance, it's a Thursday game and one primetime game either on a Sunday or Monday night. What if that's what they're trying to do?
So instead of a Thursday game, it's just
No,
uh,
no. Every team gets one Thursday game,
okay.
but then every single team will get a primetime game either on a Sunday or a Monday night. Like one Sunday night, one Sunday primetime game, and one Thursday primetime game. But
Yeah.
every team gets a Thursday.
I feel like that's kind of what they already, in a sense, were trying. But yeah, I get what you're trying to put down.
Yeah, that's what they're probably trying to do.
And one of those teams that actually accepted the 2 games uh, vote was the Chiefs too, which had MVS and Patrick Mahomes both saying concerned about uh, rest and player health. And Goodell even said that it wasn't gonna affect much or really anything of it because players will get injured just due to the game and whatever. But
Base them out. So if a team is playing a Thursday game early in the season, they get a primetime game. Or actually, I would say the Sunday night primetime game early in the season, get them a Thursday night late. Just make
yeah,
sure that
what do they
like
do
they
for
need
like
to do a
the
better job of
European
spacing
ones?
it. What's up?
Like
Oh,
whenever
for
they go to
Monday,
Germany or Mexico or whatever.
only certain teams get that, and I think that's depending on where they placed the year before.
Yeah. All right. Um, but yeah, that was our color commentary for this week. Are we ready for the prime time?
Yep, this is a rather short primetime game here. And although last time Ruckus did some spot the air, this week you are doing over under.
Okay.
It is called over under. So I'm going to have a baseline number, and we'll give you about a good amount of athletes around the range. Your goal is to guess whether these athletes had over or under
Okay.
that total. Okay. So I said how I gave you kind of in the pre-show that the category was the NFL.
Okay.
The criteria: rushing yards. The baseline: you are either over or under Isaiah Pacheco's 830 rushing yards as a rookie season. In his rookie season, this is good for number 25 on the NFL leaders list for rushing yards. I'm going to give you a few here. Ready?
Sure.
AJ Dillon.
I feel like he is under.
That is correct. Najee Harris.
I'm gonna say, well, the Steelers' offense was kind of shitty. I'm gonna say under as well.
That one is actually over.
Okay.
Najee Harris had 1,034 rushing yards. Brian Robinson Jr.
I'm gonna say under because he missed some time.
That is correct. He was under. Ramondre Stevenson.
He is definitely over.
Yep. Cordarrelle Patterson.
He was over.
Under. 695 rushing yards.
Was it because he was
Joe
splitting?
Mix
Was it because he was splitting time with
splitting
Tyler
splitting
Algier?
splitting carries. Yep. Joe Mixon.
He is definitely over.
Under.
What the? How?
Under. 814 rushing yards. Rushing yards.
Kind of makes me want to pull out a gun.
Raheem Mostert.
He was over.
Yep, just barely over at 891 rushing yards. Got a few more for you here. Lamar Jackson.
Under.
He was at under 764 rushing yards. Austin Eckler.
Oh God. I'm gonna say under.
Over.
What the?
915 rushing yards. Ezekiel Elliott.
I feel like he was way under because he was sharing time with Pollard.
Over.
How the hell?
876 rushing yards.
God damn it.
And last but not least, Devin Singletary.
He was under. There's no fucking way.
Just barely 819 rushing yards, and kind of a little bit of a fun one for you for extra. Jonathan Taylor.
This is a joke, right? This is under.
No,
What the? I quit.
that one is actually over.
That guy
one is
was such a
actually
bust,
over.
though. He was such a
Eight-
bust.
He still had 861 rushing yards.
Freaking,
And the
why did they
base-
just put in Pacheco at the start so that I could have just been like,
830 rushing yards.
God damn it.
But could you name all 5 running backs that were in the top 5 of rushing last season? Could you do it?
Jamal Williams.
No, Jamal Williams had more touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
Jamal Williams had 1,066 rushing yards, but was not in the top 5.
Jerick McKinnon.
Nope.
Um.
Jerick McKinnon was not in the top 50.
Okay. Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry was number 2 at 1538.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb was number 3 at 1525.
God, who else?
You have not even said the rushing champion yet.
Gosh dang it. Why am I blanking on this?
You have not said the rushing champion, and the other two, and the bottom 2 at 4 and 5 were in the NFC East.
Leonard Fournette.
Nope. Fournette was not in the top 50.
Man, why am I blanking so hard on this? I feel like I should know this in a sense. Okay, I don't.
Well, the leading rusher was in your division.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, yep.
And then you said 2 more, right? So 4 and 5.
Yep, and both of them are in the NFC East.
So was one of them Miles Sanders?
Well, Miles Sanders, yep.
And then what was the other one? Boston Scott. Or wait, no, it would be Saquon. It would be Saquon.
The Saquon Barkley was number 4, yep. Miles Sanders had 1269, Saquon Barkley had 1312, and Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing with 1,653 rushing yards.
Because the car was in the shop.
And the leading quarterback at number 7, Justin Fields. Was Justin Fields.
Makes sense.
With 1,143 rushing yards. ETN was in the top 10. ETN was in the top 10. Algier was in the top 20. There were only 16 running backs who rushed for 1,000 yards. So that was exactly why I decided to give you the top 50, or I had the whole top 50 for rushing yards, just so I kind of had like a huge reference point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a good one to kind of challenge you a little bit. Like,
that was actually a good one.
Yep.
So how do you think I did overall?
You actually got more right than you actually got a good amount of them right, but the ones that you got wrong were kind of interesting too. Like, because when I looked at them, I'm like, let me set what a baseline is. Oh, I'll start with one that Ruckus should know kind of where the baseline is, and that was Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I gotta get your Pacheco book out.
Yeah, I set the baseline at Pacheco, and I was like, wow, Zeke.
He just wants a rock.
Yep. But now we go into stud and dud, and I will go ahead and let you go first here.
All right, so my stud for this week is the Atlanta Braves for sweeping the Cardinals, and they're off to a good start at 5-1. Do you want me to go for my dud as well?
Yeah, go for your dud here.
All right, and then my dud for this week is Anthony Rendon with his confrontation with an Oakland fan near the dugout, which honestly was a dud for the A's because it gave the Angels some firepower to get angry and beat the A's by over 10 runs the next game. But it's also a dud on the Angels side as Rendon and the so it's both a dud for Rendon and the A's since Rendon later got a 4-game suspension, and it doesn't help to his Angels career because he has mostly been injury prone. Only really playing 160 games in so far in 2 seasons, which if you recall, MLB games go for I believe 165 a year.
It's 162 games a year.
And he's only played maybe a season's worth. Or about a season's worth. But
all right.
Yes. Anyways, go ahead, Spennis.
Yep. So here's where I'm at. My stud this week is Trace Thompson. Though it seems he generally gets overshadowed by his brother Clay, Trace hit 3 home runs while driving in 8 in a game against the Arizona Diamondbacks this past weekend. My honorable mention goes to Mets pitcher Kodai Senga for his swag and brand with the Ghost Fork, and that also caused Yuri Gurriel's bat to disappear from his hands while swinging at that forkball. And my dud, you cannot be serious. I went with John McEnroe for arguing with a pickleball official, winning the argument, and then going back on it out of sportsmanship to Andre Agassi in the pickleball slam over the weekend. Though honorable to reset the point, it was just a funny moment. It was just a funny moment involving McEnroe, and which I'm sure you've seen the famous "You cannot be serious."
Yeah, the DirecTV with
Yeah,
Serena Williams and whatever, where
yeah,
there's
the
like
jump.
robots and stuff, and he gets like, I think, was it like his like he gets like splashed on or something, or
It was something like that, or it was something like that. But the original argument was him like insulting a ref, which was why the arguing with the pickleball official was was noted here.
yeah.
McEnroe was known to do that, so that really worked out. That really worked out for all of it.
All right, we ready to call this one a
Yep.
show?
Yep. Take us out, Ruckus.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and other peeps, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, where we try at least every week to talk about sports and debate things and just shoot the shit. Um, thank you for listening this long and also sticking with us to the end of each episode. Um, so please share these videos or share this with your friends, colleagues, and whatever, and also leave a like. Make if you want to comment something nasty, go for it. It's gonna be moderated anyways. um, but yeah, I'm Ruckus, always Cosmo Ruckus,
Menace the Menace.
and we'll see y'all later.
Yep. Oh. Trying to figure out what we